Hello guys and welcome to Barking Mad Tech, an extremely low effort and extremely low budget tech channel dedicated to bringing you only the best in bad tech content. My name is Nick and today we've got yet another build crafting for you, a series in which I pick a price point or use case and suggest a computer configuration for that price point or use case. I didn't do an episode of build crafting for November, and that was because the market of PC hardware here in Sweden was just absolute chaos, and I really just couldn't make heads or tails of it. It is still quite a mess, just as it is in the rest of the world, but it's at least stable enough now that I feel comfortable making this video. The second point of order is that these past few months have been a host to just a slew of launches of very impressive PC hardware that has subsequently sold out pretty much immediately. And retailers are still struggling to fulfill even day one orders of these products. Nonetheless, a lot of these retailers have implemented a queuing system in which you buy the product and are placed in the queue, and when it becomes available to you, they will send it out. While this is essentially pre-ordering hardware, which understandably puts a lot of people off, at least it does assure that you will get said hardware eventually. For today's video, we're going to be utilizing this queue system to configure a system that will play all the latest games at high settings and resolutions, and yes, that's including Cyberpunk 2077. Once again, I will be using Swedish pricing, and not factoring in sales in the final price tally. With all that said, let's get into it. For our CPU, I decided to go with the Ryzen 5 5600X. While the increased price in comparison to the previous generation Ryzen 5 3600 has diminished the value proposition somewhat, it is still an excellent performer for the price, and for high refresh rates, the bump in single-core performance will certainly help it along quite a bit. So that's what I decided to go with for this configuration. Now, the 5600X does come with a Wraith Stealth stock cooler, and while that would probably cool it just fine, it is also pretty loud and doesn't look great, at least in my opinion. And with a high-end build like this, I think it's fair to pay attention not only to performance and value, but also aesthetics. With that in mind, I decided to go with the Deepcool Castle 240 RGB V2. Of course, from Deepcool. Is it overkill for a 5600X? Almost certainly, but it looks good, performs very well, and is pretty damn quiet, especially for an AIO. If RGB AIOs aren't quite your thing, you could go with something like an Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, or an air cooler like the Be Quiet Dark Rock 4. This would also save you a bit of money. For our motherboard, we're going with the MSI MPG B550 Gaming Plus. It comes with all the benefits of the B550 chipset, like PCIe Gen 4 for the GPU and one of the SSDs, an excellent VRM solution and a nice set of features like 10GB USB and a nice onboard audio solution. All this tallies up for an excellent value pick for essentially any mid-range to high-end configuration, and especially one like this, it's a great pick, I think. For our RAM, I decided to go with a 2x8GB kit of Ballistics RGB DDR4 running at 3600MHz CL16, as it offers a nice balance between performance and aesthetics. Again, if RGB isn't your thing, or you just want to save some money, you can drop down to the version of this kit without RGB. Storage-wise, I decided to go with a, you guessed it, 1TB Kingston A2000 as a boot drive. This is due to its excellent performance and price. Now, it is a Gen 3 drive, which means we aren't utilizing our motherboard's full capabilities, but at the moment, Gen 4 drives are simply too expensive to justify getting one at all, especially for a gaming-focused configuration like this one. Even in this day and age, I do also suggest adding a 2TB mechanical storage drive, in this case the Toshiba P300. Another benefit of our motherboard choice is that there's still plenty of room for storage expansion, as it still has 5 open SATA slots and 1 additional M.2 slot. For our case, I decided to go with a P360A from Fantex. Having personally built in this case, I can heartily recommend it. It has plenty of room for expansion, excellent airflow, and includes 2 ARGB fans at the front, as well as an ARGB light strip beneath the tempered glass side panel. All that combined with the quality Fantex building experience tallies up to an excellent case choice, especially at the price, even if you're not a fan of RGB. And in that case, you can just not plug in the RGB, and it will just not turn on, but the fans will still spin, obviously. For our power supply, I went with a Cooler Master MWE Gold 750W. We could definitely have gotten away with a 650W for this configuration, but I wanted to make sure we had plenty of room for future upgrades. And the quality of this Cooler Master unit, especially at its price, makes it a really easy recommendation for these sort of high-end configurations. And finally, for our graphics card, I decided to go with an RTX 3070, specifically the dual OC version from Asus. It offers up great gaming performance at 1440p and even puts up a respectable effort at 4K. The dual OC cooling design is well regarded, both in terms of cooling and quietness, and it is in fact among the cheaper 3070 designs, at least here in Sweden. Obviously, if you're a 3070 now, you're in for a long wait, but that is, as I said, the point of this configuration. Now, you might be wondering why I recommend a 3070 instead of, say, an RX 6800 from AMD, and it's for a few reasons. Number one, whilst the 6800 is faster than the 3070 in terms of raw performance, it is not fast enough, in my view, to justify the price premium, even at MSRP. Number two, the 3070 support for superior ray tracing capabilities, and especially its support for DLSS, means a value add that goes beyond just the basic rasterization performance. And finally, and perhaps most significantly, the RX 6800 is even harder to get a hold of, and the only models available for purchase at all are partner models with ridiculously inflated prices. All of that adds up to the point where I just can't, in good conscience, recommend an RX 6800, and I think you should just go with an RTX 3070. That is, of course, unless you're on Linux, in which case Nvidia cards are pretty much non-starters, and you're stuck with whichever the cheaper 6800 or 6800 XT you can find. So there you have it, my friends. That's my suggestion for a buy now, build it later, high-end gaming PC in what can only just be described as December of 2020. You'll see the final price tally on the screen here in a moment. A build like this will do absolutely phenomenally in 1440p gaming and put up respectable effort even at 4K, especially with some older titles, and will serve you very well indeed, provided of course that you're willing to wait a few months between ordering it and actually putting the thing together. 2020, eh? What's an absolutely bizarre shit show of a year, both for the tech market and for, well, humanity in general, I guess. I myself had an extraordinarily tough year, which has affected me in numerous ways and has certainly affected this channel. I think that's the case for a very, very large amount of people, actually. Like, it's not, like, yeah, this year's been tough for everyone, I think. Well, not for some people, certainly. But today is New Year's Eve. And that means 2021 is almost upon us. I hope that in the next year I'll be able to make more videos than I have this year. And I hope that things improve, both for humanity at large and for the tech market, of course, which is the subject of this channel. So I guess with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Keep an eye out for future ones. Peace out, and a happy new year to you all.